Ryan Bass, 8196 Rainbow Drive, on behalf of Lobbyists for Citizens. As I interact with government employees, I want to make sure that when they're doing a great job, that I recommend it and I praise them. I'm here to start out by saying I'd like to say thank you to Nina Germano of the prosecutor's office for a very professional approach in answering my questions and solving the issue I had for a public records request from the clerk of court. So thank you very much for that. I'd also like to thank a young lady by the name of Jessica, I'm sorry I don't have her last name, of the clerk of court's office, who, when I went there to file for a civil protection order, she was very nice, very professional, and very accommodating. So I want to give a shout out to her also. And Commissioner Hemmercheck, I'd like to give a shout out to you. I don't mean to embarrass you, but I appreciate you going above and beyond the call of duty for a commissioner for what the work you did for the homeless. So I do appreciate that very much. And it will, unfortunately it goes unrecognized, but I want to make sure that the people know that. I wanted to make the commissioners aware that my friend and Christian brother Leonard Gilbert and I spoke at the state capitol to the Ways and Means Committee. We had heard that they were going to be discussing a new piece of legislation regarding property taxes called 7070, and that is the thrust of the legislation was to for those that are 70 years of age and have an annual income of $70,000 or less, they were planning to freeze the property taxes. Although that's not ultimately, going to solve this, the solution for our seniors, it is a step in the right direction, and we wanted to provide proponent testimony. The other benefit for it, I was able to, Chairman Romer asked me, about Lobbyists for Citizens, so I had the opportunity to tell him how we started and what really our goals are as far as there is. As I understand, when I was talking to the Tax Equalization Board, when I was trying to get more details on House Bill 920, trying to understand how it works, they commented to me that, down at the state capitol, there's an awful lot of special interest. Everybody's got a lobbyist. The only one that doesn't have a lobbyist are the citizens. So that's how we came up with the name, and that we're so what, after our proponent testimony, there were several state reps came up, very kind. I gave them my business card, and they asked if we could provide other proponent testimony regarding property taxes. So since we have now made some inroads with the Ways and Means Committee, we are going to, as I talk about some of the things here, we're going to go back to the state to see if we can provide some information that they may not be aware of what is happening, and it may not only impact Lake County, but all of the other counties in the state. That brings me to the second item, and this is not meant to be any slam against Prosecutor Colson or Auditor Galloway, not at all. But there is an issue that I was, again, the Budget Commission has been a topic that has really interested me, because they are supposed to be the watchdogs, as I understand it, for the taxpayers, so that there's no excessive taxation being collected. And unfortunately, because of Supreme Court rulings, our Budget Commission, they're really hamstrung, and they're really just a rubber stamp. They no longer can reduce property taxes. I will... But as I was, starting to write to the Ways and Means Committee about having them address the Budget Commission, even if they have the responsibility for it, I would assume they do. I noticed that there is a conflict of rulings that Prosecutor Colson has made, a conflict in my mind anyway, and that has to do with the local government funds and the role of the Budget Commission. The local government funds, as I'm sure the commissioners are well aware, but probably those at home are not aware, that the state has various taxes that they collect from the county, from the people in the county. The money goes to the state, and then the money is then redistributed by the state to the counties, and it is distributed through that local government funds. There is a statutory method for the distribution, but the Lake County got together, I think it was 1980s or so, or maybe before, that there's what they call the alternate method. All of the municipalities got together and decided how the government funds would be split. Well, I find out that there is since 1982, Prosecutor Colson expressed an opinion that said that the distribution of those funds are, I don't know if the word was illegal, but it was improper. Maybe that's a better term.
I think invalid might be a word you're looking for.
Invalid, thank you. And he was suggesting, and in his opinion, that the Budget Commission should go back to the statutory method. I'm not sure where that is in the whole process as far as, who ultimately makes the decision. I'm sure it's probably not the commissioners, it's probably the Budget Commission itself. I did write an email to Auditor Galloway asking, will we go back to the statutory method, or are we going to not follow Prosecutor Colson's opinion that it should go back to the statutory method and just use the alternative? So I have not heard that. But that is one thing. But then the second thing is on the Budget Commission being the watchdogs, Prosecutor Colson provided a ruling that said, because of a Supreme Court ruling, once the voters have voted on a levy, an outside millage levy, that is, that the Budget Commission cannot reduce that. So on one hand, I'm trying to say that the Budget Commission is following the prosecutor's ruling on not adjusting the outside millage, but as of right now, my understanding is they are going to stick with the alternate method. It just seems like an inconsistency, and I'm just wondering if there's any input. Because what I will do is, I will go back to at the state level, and maybe that's where the problem is. Maybe there needs to be a better refinement in the Ohio Revised Code so that it better documents what the role of the Budget Commission is all about. So that, moving on to the next item was the sexennial revaluation. I've done a lot of research, on this, and just as they've experienced in Geauga County, Lake County residents are going to they're going to experience a pretty big shock coming up in the 2024 revaluation with the tax collected in 2025. I did provide the commissioners with my calculations on the how much the county will benefit from this. And as you well know, that this has to do with inside millage, which is unvoted millage. So the taxpayers have no say in this at all. It's just going to happen automatically unless our elected officials step up and say, well, wait a minute, we've got to do something for our taxpayers. So what I find out in the inside millage, we've got 1.0 for the county, and Lake Metro Parks has got 0.1, I believe it is. They're going to benefit about $173,000 without a vote of the taxpayers. So what I will do as a representative of the citizens of Lake County, I'm going to notify the board of Lake Metro Parks and ask them to forego collecting that windfall. So I'm here to also ask the commissioners for the $1.7 million approximately, and this is at 30%. It may be as high as 35%, I'm understanding from the auditor, but I've used 30% in the numbers. There's $1.7 million that in 2025 that will be coming to the county without a vote of the taxpayers. So I'm asking you to consider waiving that $1.7 million. One last thing that I want to tell commissioners that Mr. Gilbert and I, we will be refocusing our efforts on education. I am extremely concerned what I see about the proficiency scores in all of our Lake County schools. The math scores are absolutely abysmal, and I am shocked that taxpayers and school boards are accepting this proficiency in the 40, 50 percentile. It's just not acceptable. And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on homeschooling. I'm not sure that we can save public education. That's not. I know the commissioners can't do anything. I'm telling you what we're going to focus on. Case in point, let me just give you. I think they've lost their moral compass, and I'll give you an example. Riverside School has Miss Amy Zern spoke on behalf at the taxpayers at a school board meeting where she was mentioning that there is a bathroom issue in Riverside. And it's been going on not just for a few months, it's been going on, as I understand, for decades. And I'm hearing from taxpayers that have children in the school. Children are afraid to go to the bathroom at Riverside High. In the school, some of the bathrooms are closed. So rather than having the school board address this problem, I heard at the last school board meeting that they're thinking about replacing the outdoor running track. I sent an email to Mr. Platko and I said, what's the outdoor running track going to cost you? $500,000. So it's more important for the Riverside School Board to spend $500,000 on a rubberized outdoor running track than securing the safety and privacy for these young ladies in the bathroom. It is not acceptable, and I'm calling everybody out on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, there's an awful lot there, gentlemen. Anything you want to add or comment on? Okay, well, and I guess I will. On the inside millage, I think it's well known that I have publicly said I believe that's the gas pedal that we control as commissioners. We're the taxing authority. I know there's a lot of formulas that determines taxable valuation, but I like to keep things in very simple terms. If there's a 30% change on the input, there's going to be a 30% change on the output. I like to keep things simple. The county is entitled to collect 2.1 mil. We collect 1.0. We're leaving more than half on the table. I believe that's real and substantial. I've said before, and I'll say again, I believe that we need to be leaders and look to mitigate the harm that's going to be coming to our property owners. I still say sales, or little Freudian slip there. Property tax is a wealth tax. Sales tax is consumption. People who have earned and saved and built value in their homes just by holding on to them should not be penalized. I think we have a tremendous opportunity. Our legislature has taken this matter up. I believe they're trying to do some things, but we can commit to doing something that refutes, turns away, rebuffs windfalls. This is an opportunity. I like to keep things in very simple terms. If I could give some analogies here, if we're looking at 1.0, that's effectively 1.3 mil, so every tenth of a mil brings in about $600,000. My math says it's about 1.8 million-ish. I think, Mr. Massey, you were saying 1.7, so we're at least in the ballpark. But that number represents, as an example, the amount of money that our Lake County Narcotics Agency operates on. It's about half of what our crime lab operates on, and it's about half of what our senior citizens levy operates on. So just to put things into perspective, that is how much control we have. But something that hopefully I can garner some support here that hasn't been talked about, and I think should be talked about, asset classes. We've got an awful big bump on residential. There were a number of people buying properties over asking price, and now people who never had their home on the market, who have been in it aging in place, are now facing incredible increases in the value of their property, even though they plan on staying there. And maybe you're wondering why I'm saying asset class. office space is not keeping pace with this inflation. And the people who own those type of facilities have really good attorneys who are going to be lobbying against any increased values assigned to that. Our commercial properties, same. Industrial, that one's probably going to be tracking. But there's a number of asset class discussions that's not entering the public discussion. I'm left wondering why. I realize this is all incredibly complex, but any opportunity we have to get this into the conversation, I think we should, because this burden will then fall more heavily to stabilize the inside millage revenues on our residential. That asset class is going to be hit the hardest of all. And I think that tax burden should be addressed. A lot of this is a direct result of inflation, eroding buying power. Some people are saying that inflation is starting to slow. I would contend it is stabilizing, but that still does not take back the damage and harm and loss of buying power from that. So I'm hoping that due consideration will come to doing that, taking a leadership role, being strong on this issue, and just lead from the front. I know the legislatures are looking at this, but we have an opportunity, and I think we should exercise that opportunity at the earliest and get this addressed on some level. So, Mr. Massey, you'll forgive me if I don't address all your other points. I think you made a number of them that have been talked about previously. Thank you, sir.